be neutralized.
Westview looks like any other small town. Wanda and Vision seem to be settling in just fine with matching rings and even a baby on the way. But if you pay attention, something about all this seems made up and orchestrated. There's a woman in town who remembers Ultron.
He was killed by Ultron.
What did you say?
Which is strange because no one here is supposed to know anything like that. What they don't realize yet is that someone from the outside is already trying to break through. If that person manages to get in, then everything this town's been hiding might not stay hidden for much longer. Wanda and Vision settle into Westview after getting married, and in typical fashion, Vision phases through the front door while Wanda smacks into it. Inside, they kiss, and she begins setting up with a flick of her fingers, accidentally smacking Vision with a floating saucer that shatters on him, not the other way around. There's a heart marked on the calendar, but neither of them can quite remember what it means, though they tease each other about it while falling into their usual rhythm of finishing sentences and trading kisses. Vision switches to his human form just before heading to work. Just after he leaves, their bubbly neighbor Agnes drops by with a flower to welcome Wanda to the neighborhood. When Agnes spots Wanda's bare finger, she assumes she's single, but Wanda quickly corrects her by saying she's married, and today's a special day. Even though Wanda has no clue what makes it special, the overeager neighbor insists on helping her plan something anyway. At work, Vision hands some files to Norm, who keeps praising how great things have been since he came on board. Still, the Red Man is curious about what the company actually does. Norm dodges the question and instead helps him brainstorm what today could mean to his wife. Maybe her birthday, maybe an anniversary. But before they get too far, the boss, Mr. Hart, shows up. Mr. Hart reminds Vision about the dinner they agreed on, which is part of a new employee tradition, where the boss and his wife come over for a home-cooked meal. Vision clearly forgot and now has to juggle making the night perfect for Wanda while not messing up his job, especially since the boss hints everything could ride on it. He starts acting weird, even blurting out awkward answers until the boss asks if he's hiding skeletons in his closet, which Vision takes literally, promising there are none. Back in the neighborhood, Agnes and another woman gossip about Wanda's big night. Agnes throws out her usual dramatic advice on how to spice up dinner. Meanwhile, Wanda gets a call from Vision, who tries to explain the change of plans. But she cuts him off, thinking he's just being sweet about their special evening. They both hang up confidently, though clearly not talking about the same thing.
Don't worry, dear. I have everything under control.
I think the best course of action is to impress the wife.
Later that evening, Vision walks Mr. and Mrs. Hart into the house and quickly rushes to the kitchen to warn Wanda. But she sneaks up behind Mr. Hart from another room and covers his eyes, thinking it's her husband. They recover fast, chalking it up to a playful custom from Wanda's European hometown. She pulls Vision aside to ask why he brought his boss home, and he points to the calendar, saying the heart meant the Harts were coming, not a romantic celebration. With the mix-up clear, they scramble to fix the evening. While Vision entertains the guests, Wanda calls in Agnes for help whipping up dinner. She rushes the nosy neighbor out, then uses her powers to whip up all the meals at once. But she's clearly no expert in the kitchen. Everything gets chaotic fast, and she ends up calling Vision to handle dinner while she focuses on entertaining the guests. Agnes shows up again right when things are tense, knocking at the door like it's her house. Wanda sends her away quickly and then heads into the kitchen, pulling the whole meal together with magic. At the table, the Harts start with light conversation, but it quickly shifts into strange territory, asking how long the couple's been married, where they met, and why they chose Westview. But neither Wanda nor Vision can give any answers.
What exactly is your story? Why did you come here?
And the awkward silence drags on until Mr. Hart suddenly starts choking. Vision steps in to help and saves him. And just like that, the tension lifts. The Harts leave oddly cheerful, with Mr. Hart even hinting at a promotion. Left alone, the couple tries to make sense of everything. They have no anniversary, no wedding song, not even rings, so they just create all that right there, with Wanda magically placing rings on both their fingers as they settle into their strange new life. The couple sleeps in separate beds in the same room until a noise from outside jolts them awake. Neither wants to check it out, and while Vision casually mentions hearing from his co-workers about some strange newcomers in the neighborhood,
Oh, darling, you can't be suggesting my colleagues were referring to us.
Wanda figures they might actually be the ones everyone's whispering about. They let it go, and with a quick flick of her powers, she pulls their beds together so they can enjoy the rest of the night. With the town fundraiser around the corner, every couple is expected to contribute something. They decide on a magic act with Vision as the magician and Wanda as the assistant, and start rehearsing the old-fashioned way with no powers. He suggests using their abilities to spice things up, but she insists they have to play it normal if they want to fit in. After a quick moment to remind each other what they mean, she heads off to the planning committee while he sets out for the neighborhood watch. Wanda hears a thud outside and finds a toy chopper, completely out of place. While she's still trying to figure it out, Agnes startles her with a rabbit in hand for their upcoming act. Then the two head off arm in arm to the planning meeting. At the gathering, just as Agnes warned, Dottie runs the show. Everyone claps only when she does, no one dares interrupt her, and Wanda clearly doesn't fit in. Tired of the weird vibe, she breaks the rhythm by introducing herself to Geraldine, who looks too nervous to fully engage, and Dottie doesn't hide her disapproval. Meanwhile, Vision arrives at the neighborhood watch meeting, but is told it's members only. He stays anyway, sitting quietly as the group gossips about Arthur. He doesn't laugh, and ends up being offered gum. Not wanting to stand out, he chews it, then swallows it by mistake, something his system isn't built to handle, which causes internal glitches. Back at the meeting, Dottie makes a point by assigning Wanda to clear the dishes. Wanda agrees, trying to stay on her good side, but while cleaning up, Dottie directly tells her she's heard rumors and doesn't trust them. Right then, the radio nearby glitches and starts acting up. A voice echoes through it, calling Wanda by name and asking why she's doing what she's doing.
Wanda. Who's doing this to you, Wanda?
This unsettles Dottie, and before either of them can react, the device sparks and explodes, startling the woman so much that she crushes the glass in her hand. The talent show kicks off later, and Vision finally arrives, but he's clearly not himself. The gum he swallowed earlier is messing with his system and making him act erratically, like he's drunk. He forgets the routine they planned once they get on stage and starts showing off his powers, levitating, lifting heavy objects, and phasing through things. Wanda tries to cover it all up on the fly, using quick tricks to make his powers look like part of the act. She throws up ropes and levers, makes props appear, and turns his slip-ups into illusions, keeping the audience none the wiser. She finally rolls out the big black box, but her partner has no clue what to do with it. The crowd starts calling for the big reveal, so she quickly uses her powers to get Geraldine inside the box and swings it open, earning them loud applause for pulling off the trick.
What's in the box? What's in the box?
She scans her husband backstage and spots the gum still lodged in his system. Then she gets rid of it just in time. The committee chairperson soon calls them up to the stage and hands over a plaque in recognition of their spectacular performance. While Geraldine, who's still confused, asks how she ended up in the box in the first place. The couple gets cozy at home, and that's when they notice the bump forming on Wanda's belly. The moment puts them in a softer mood, and as they lean in for a kiss, a thudding sound outside catches their attention. They step out to check and see a man in a hazmat suit crawling out of a tunnel. The sight unsettles her, so she resets everything, rewinding the moment to just before their kiss, which now magically adds color to their entire home. The couple brings in a doctor to confirm what's going on, and after checking her, he says without a doubt that she's pregnant.
Definitely pregnant.
Vision, confused by the sudden baby bump, tries to question how that's even possible just hours after anything. But the doctor just laughs it off and encourages them to start preparing for the baby. Not wanting the questions to go further, she nudges Vision to walk the doctor out. On his way back, he spots Herb across the yard. But instead of trimming his bushes, the neighbor is cutting straight through their side of the fence, which Vision finds odd. Back inside, he's stunned again as Wanda's belly has grown even more in just those few minutes. They get busy setting up for the baby. Wanda paints the nursery with her powers, while Vision dives into pregnancy books, trying to keep up. From his quick math, she could deliver in 3 days, and that immediately made her stop what she was doing. Something shifts in her belly, and the panic kicks in, triggering a power surge that shuts down the appliances, stops the taps, and knocks out the power in the house. Vision's more concerned now than ever. Their neighbors have already acted strangely before, and this isn't helping. He starts speaking up about how nothing adds up.
I think something's wrong here, Wanda.
But she quickly rewinds the moment and turns the focus back to the baby and their future. Just as things start to calm down, she has her first contraction and chaos returns, blasting a pipe and soaking both of them in the middle of the panic. Wanda's contraption increases, and Vision dashes out to go get the doctor. She notices strange movements from the baby's room, but a knock at the door stops her from checking it out. It's Geraldine, so she quickly wears a coat to cover her bump and reluctantly allows her in. She tries to politely usher her guest out, but the woman has plenty to talk about. This forces the host to juggle between conversation while trying to keep her contractions under control and hide the pregnancy. A painting of a large bird in the nursery springs to life and struts into the living room out of nowhere. She tries to shoo it away without tipping off her guest, but the bird clearly has other plans and seems determined to cause a scene. Her water soon breaks, and she goes into labor right there. The guest, who is now fully aware of the pregnancy, scrambles to help while Vision rushes off to fetch the doctor, carrying him on his back to speed things up. While he's away, the visitor helps deliver the baby, all while struggling to understand why things around the house keep moving by themselves. Just as the child is born, the doctor walks in, and the visitor escorts him inside, giving the strange couple a moment alone. Vision shifts into his real form to hold his son, but there's no rest. Wanda's contractions start again, and baby number 2 is on the way. Meanwhile, outside, the Red Man spots Herb and Agnes talking quietly and asking about Geraldine, suspicious of her since she has no home in Westview and seems to have just appeared. When Vision tries to press them, they dodge the question. Back inside, the visitor slips up and mentions Pietro, Wanda's brother, and how he was taken out by Ultron.
His name was Pietro. He was killed by Ultron.
That stops everything, and Wanda immediately becomes tense, realizing something's off. She starts pressing the woman with questions, and when she spots the strange pendant around her neck, the visitor gets nervous and tries to hide it. It's very confusing, but it's clear the couple needs to be on alert more than ever. Geraldine soon finds herself thrown out of Westview to an army waiting to rescue her. Captain Monica wakes up in a hospital ward as her body slowly reassembles. Fragments of herself piece back together until she's whole again. When she steps out, the hallway is in chaos. Patients are appearing out of thin air, forming just like she did, while staff scramble to make sense of it all. She's sure her mom had a successful surgery and wants to go see her, but Dr. Harley breaks the news that Maria didn't make it, and that was 3 years ago.
Tyler, where's my mom?
Maria died 3 years ago.
The doctor is baffled by Monica's return since she's been listed as missing ever since the blip. She returns to SWORD, the agency her mother founded, only to find that her access badge no longer works. Acting Director Tyler Hayward spots her and quickly brings her in, updating her on what's changed since she vanished. Even though Maria started the agency, protocols now require all returned agents to remain grounded for a while. Monica isn't thrilled by that, especially since she's eager to pick up from where she left off. But instead, she's reassigned to a basic drone escort gig with the FBI. The captain teams up with Agent Wu of the FBI to look into a missing person case, but things quickly stop making sense. Right in front of them, the signpost clearly reads, Westview. Yet the local cops who claim they're from Eastview insist there's no such town nearby. Wu calls it a missing town case. Once the officers drive off, he admits that every attempt to make contact or enter the town has failed, like the place is blocking them out entirely. Captain Monica sets up a small drone and sends it flying toward the visible houses in the distance, all while sharing her thoughts on the situation. But just as the drone crosses a certain point, it vanishes. She walks up to the area and finds what looks like an energy field that reacts as she reaches for it. The sensation tells her there's something beyond that line. She presses her hand deeper into it, and before she can fully react, the field pulls her in, and she disappears from sight, leaving Wu calling her name but getting no response. The agency assembles a group of people with diverse skills to help them decipher whatever they'd be dealing with. Darcy, an astrophysicist, is setting up and immediately noticing high-level cosmic radiation.
Colossal amount of CMBR.
She taps into the feedback frequency and begins getting video clips from Westview, with the activities playing on the small CRT TV. After sending in Agent Franklin through a ground tunnel in a bid to get him into Westview, the director returns to the command room, where the astrophysicist can't give a proper explanation of what's showing on the screen. She's certain that Vision is no longer alive, so it raises the question of why there's a clip of him and Wanda from a live feed. While they all admit that the task of unraveling the mystery is massive, the clips keep playing like sitcom episodes on a CRT TV, complete with credits for cast and crew at the end of each one. They get to work quickly and begin identifying each character inside Westview, along with their real-life identities. Soon they come across footage showing their missing captain now living inside Westview under the name Geraldine. This makes them wonder whether she knows who she really is and is only pretending, or if she's actually lost. The sharp astrophysicist figures out a way to try and communicate with Wanda through a radio, which she does during the same meeting where the ladies were planning the Westview event. The voice heard through the radio is Officer Wu attempting to reach out to Wanda, but while the astrophysicist watches this on her screen, a glitch happens, skipping right over the moment the radio exploded, and when the other ladies squeeze the glass cup. The agent in the tunnel finally reaches the point where the energy field separates Westview. And as he passes through it, the line connected to his suit from the base drops on its own, sending a signal to the guys at the base. The man with the hazmat suit steps out of the tunnel and stands face to face, although in a distance with the Westview lovers. The officer and the smart lady stay locked on the TV screen, watching Geraldine help Wanda deliver her babies. The moment Ultron is mentioned, someone tied to a real-world event, it grabs their full attention, and as they try to make sense of it, the screen glitches, and the episode abruptly ends before they can see how it plays out. While they scramble to understand the sudden cut, the powerful lady inside Westview begins questioning her neighbor, trying to figure out exactly who she is, since knowing about Ultron and Pietro shouldn't be possible for anyone in town. Wasting no time, she identifies her as a threat.
Then how did you know about Ultron?
With energy forming in her hand like a ball, she fires it at the neighbor, sending her crashing through walls and out of Westview entirely. The woman wakes up outside, surrounded by agents but unable to move. With a stunned expression, she can only mutter the name Wanda. Back at home, the Red Man returns and asks about Geraldine. His wife simply says she had to leave, which he finds strange and prompts him to suggest they could move somewhere else. But she firmly states that this is home, so he forces a smile and joins her on the couch as they settle in for a movie. The couple carries on with life, now as parents to twin boys, Tommy and Billy. The babies won't stop crying, and neither parent has any idea how to calm them down. They even try swaying gently with them in their arms. She sets them in the cot and makes a subtle attempt to use her powers to lull them to sleep, but the boys resist it completely. The crying only pauses for a brief second when pacifiers touch their mouths, though that calm fades almost instantly. The wailing returns, and it makes the new mother begin to feel like maybe they're just not doing something right. Agnes knocks and lets herself in, arriving just in time and offering to step in as their babysitter. She's upbeat and eager to help, brushing off any stress that might come with it. But as they go back and forth about the idea, she suddenly suggests they rewind the conversation and try again, throwing Vision off. His wife finds it odd too, though she tries to play it down, even as her husband raises a brow at Agnes's strange wording. He clearly spots something unusual about her behavior and delivery, but the woman of the house keeps brushing it aside. For a brief moment, calm returns to the house, and the silence can only mean the babies are finally asleep. But when they glance at the cot, it's empty. Then two small voices call out from behind them, and it's the twins, now suddenly 4 years old. While Agnes quietly sips from her glass, the couple rush to embrace their kids. The new family of 4 settles into their bliss, doing all the things a regular family would, while back in the real world, Monica undergoes a full assessment. She describes her first moments in Westview as painful, hearing Wanda's voice in her head and sensing an overwhelming grief that held her down and made her go along with whatever came her way. A lab tech returns with news that her blood work was wiped from the system and they'll need to run it again, but she turns it down and heads to the briefing instead. At the briefing, the SWORD director certifies that based on evidence, Wanda is the chief perpetrator of whatever goes on in Westview. They give a brief history of how Wanda lost her parents at a tender age, forcing her and Pietro into Hydra. The director has every reason to believe that Wanda has a sinister motive, but Monica counters him. She's sure that the new mom shouldn't be labeled a terrorist, as most of her actions weren't geared towards the destruction of lives.
Terrorists.
Wanda's not a terrorist.
I don't believe this is a premeditated act of aggression.
Mr. Hayward, in proving his point, shows them classified footage of Wanda breaking into where Vision's corpse was deposited and carting away with it just a few days earlier. The man reveals that she broke the Sokovia Accord and Vision's wish to be left alone after passing on. The question remains how she managed to bring Vision back without the Mind Stone. Back in Westview, the twins stumble on a dog and try to hide it just as their mom walks in. Before they can cover it properly, Vision enters with his human disguise, which catches her attention. When she asks why, he mentions he's expecting someone. And right on cue, Agnes shows up with a dog cage, exactly what they need. Vision can't shake the feeling that her timing is always too perfect. He brings it up to his wife, but she's already swept up in the moment, even going as far as using her powers in front of Agnes without hesitation. He's clearly uneasy, but she brushes it off, saying he's just tired. That's when it starts to click for him that they aren't in sync like they used to be. The boys beg their parents to let them keep the dog, but they're told they have to be at least 10 years old to take on that kind of responsibility. And just like that, right in front of them, the twins age themselves up to 10. Meanwhile, at the base, Monica insists on going back into Westview despite the risks, While others treat what they see on the broadcast as a fabrication, she argues it's all real in there, especially the twins. To prove a point, she runs a test on the clothes she wore inside the hex and finds that they're bulletproof. The readings show that they're still made from the same Kevlar material she went in with, just altered to fit the new reality. That's when it hits her. Wanda isn't just controlling people, she's rewriting things down to their very structure. Back inside Westview, Vision helps Norm hook up his computer to the internet, and they receive an email from SWORD. Norm laughs it off as some company prank, but Vision isn't so sure. He touches Norm's head and taps into his actual mind. Instantly, Norm starts to panic and begs for help. He says she's in his head and won't let him think for himself. Vision quickly reverses it, and Norm snaps back into his cheerful Westview self.
You have to stop her.
Stop who?
She's in my head. Just make her stop!
Unaware of anything that just happened, leaving Vision stunned at what's really going on. While the mom is talking to her boys about the importance of family, she hears a noise outside and steps out to find a drone hovering that's armed and aimed at her. Monica tries to de-escalate, but her superiors override control and give the order to fire. The feed cuts out instantly. Moments later, the breach alarm blares and Wanda steps out, dragging the destroyed drone and warning them to stay out of her home. Monica tries reasoning with her, offering help, but the woman in red makes it clear that everything she wants is already in Westview.
Stay out of my home.
I want to help you.
How? I have what I want.
She then reinforces the barrier and walks back in. Meanwhile, Agnes shows up on screen again with her usual commercial break, but this time, she's not selling anything flashy, just a paper towel. The boys go looking for their missing dog, but the search ends sadly when they find it in Agnes's arms. They beg their mom to bring it back, knowing she can, but Agnes is stunned by their confidence in her. Even so, the mother refuses. Instead, she tells them some things. Even family have to stay gone. It's evening, and Vision returns home. But after the experience with Norm, he wants his wife to stop whatever it is that she's doing with Westview. She tries to dissuade him from believing anything of such, but after he puts his feet down, she explains that she didn't start any of it, and she definitely doesn't have total control of Westview. The man doesn't believe her. He doesn't remember his life before Westview, and the awkward feeling Westview gives is abnormal and wrong. Just then, Pietro shows up at the door, and both husband and wife can't understand how that has happened. It's Halloween, and the kids can't wait to dive into the fun. Their dad steps out in costume too, but decides to patrol with the neighborhood watch instead. He claims he wants to keep an eye out for troublemakers. This doesn't sit well with Wanda, who hints that she wasn't exactly part of the plan. The comment raises his suspicions again, though she quickly shifts the focus and says she just wishes he'd told her he'd rather spend the day out than with their kids. Pietro then volunteers to step in and take the boys trick-or-treating, freeing their dad to head off. Meanwhile, at the base, tensions rise. The director butts heads with Monica over how to handle the Westview situation. She insists Wanda needs care, not confrontation, but he's locked in on brute force and control. When Monica stands her ground, he hits below the belt, throwing doubt on her competence and suggesting her mother made a mistake handing her the keys. With that, he dismisses her, Jimmy, and the astrophysicist. They're escorted out, but the trio's already prepared for this move. Outside, they turn the tables, take down their escorts, grab gear, and decide to stick around, just not under the director's orders. Wanda still can't shake the doubts building up inside her. With Pietro back, nothing adds up, so she tries to test him subtly, but he catches on quickly and dodges her question, then zips off with the twins, stirring light chaos around town without anyone noticing. Pietro admits he's only trying to play his part right by showing up, stirring tension with Vision, and adding weight to Wanda's grief. He says he was fine wherever he was until he heard her voice, which pulled him here. Wanda hears all this, but chooses to focus on the comfort of having family around instead of digging deeper into the strange truths behind it. Meanwhile, Vision hasn't joined the neighborhood watch. He's been walking across Westview, observing people frozen in place and not responding. Back at the base, the rogue agents break into the control room and hack the director's system. What they find confirms their suspicion that he's been hiding critical intel and has been tracking Vision the whole time. Out in the far end of town, Vision crosses into a zone where the residents just stand motionless. Curious, he paces farther and finds Agnes in a car, dazed and unresponsive. He unlocks her mind and she jolts back, recognizing him as one of the Avengers, though he doesn't even know what that means. When she tells him he's supposed to be gone and that Wanda won't let anyone leave, his concern deepens. He restores her to her Westview state and sends her off, then turns to the boundary Wanda always warned them about and heads toward it. The captain is bent on getting back into Westview, as she's certain Wanda needs her help. While she steps out, Darcy stays back at the control room to gain full access to Hayward's data, as she suspects foul play from him. While the Red Man searches for answers, the town keeps having fun, everyone except the siblings. Pierto sings his sister's praises for putting all of Westview together. He wants to know how she keeps the town working the way she does, but she has no answers as she can't phantom it herself. All she remembers is that everything happened after grief, emptiness, and loneliness. Suddenly she sees an almost lifeless version of her brother, with bloodstains, only for a brief second, before everything returns to normalcy. Vision forces his way through the barrier, but the second his body makes contact with the outside world, he begins to disintegrate. He struggles and calls for help, but the director and his team just stand there and watch. Back in Westview, one of his kids senses something is wrong and runs to tell his mom. Pierto brushes it off by saying, "There's no point saving someone who's already gone." This only fuels his sister's anger. She then unleashes her powers, stretching the town's borders far beyond its original size, swallowing everything and everyone in the way. Agents turn into townspeople. Gear transforms into circus props and fairground trucks, all now part of Westview's new design. Just like in the sitcoms, Wanda gives a recap of everything that's happened and how she plans to deal with the stress it's brought. Glitches start showing, but she ignores them, saying it's normal. Around town, signs and labels now have Wanda scribbled across them, and a credit sheet rolls by, listing her as the show's producer. Meanwhile, the new Westview citizens blend right in, all preparing for a circus rehearsal, including the astrophysicist. Vision wakes up beside her and tries to remind her what happened the night before, but Darcy, locked into her new role, doesn't recognize him or remember a thing. Back home, the twins question their mom over Pierto's claim, also wanting to know why their dad isn't home. She tells them the man they know as Pierto was only acting as their uncle, but she can't explain everything else that's happening. Again, Agnes shows up just in time when Wanda needs to be alone and the kids taken away for a moment. The glitches keep coming, turning furniture and appliances into old, outdated versions, but she brushes it off and assures the sitcom crew members that she's still got everything under control. On their way to meet Agent Goodner, Wu and the captain find out that the director wants Vision back as a sentient weapon, and it is the sole reason he would rather track him than track Wanda, who has been painted as the victimizer. It dawns on them that there is more than meets the eye, and the man at the helm of the mission can't be trusted. Goodner, who will always be loyal to Monica's mother's legacy, comes through for her with the exact thing she requested, a space rover machine. Vision finally helps Darcy recall her memory, but she only remembers tiny details about herself, carrying on like a citizen of Westview. She even runs off with the Red Man at his request, assuming the man wants to be in some sort of relationship with her. For Wanda, the glitches worsen, and she even gets questioned while in the confessional room, which comes as a shock to her. Meanwhile, Agnes gets her own confessional moment too. The space rover is ready, and Monica's all suited up, prepped to blast through the boundary. She zooms toward it but meets heavy resistance from the fortified wall, which starts altering the rover, turning part of it into a regular old vehicle. Before things get worse, she jumps out, but that doesn't stop her. She charges at the barrier again and this time pushes through with everything she's got, while echoes of her mom and others push her forward. She breaks through this time, not as Geraldine, but fully as Monica. Darcy brings Vision up to speed on everything he's missed. How Wanda had to take his life to save the universe, and how a villain brought him back only to end him again. He starts piecing things together and gets a better sense of who he is, what he's made of, and what might really be going on in Westview. They still don't understand why he can't leave the town, but one thing Darcy is sure of is that the love between him and Wanda is real. On their way back, their vehicle suddenly stalls, and he doesn't need much convincing to believe it's all his wife's doing to keep him away. Meanwhile, Monica finds her way back to Wanda and barely gets a word in before she's flung high into the sky, but she lands safely, glowing blue with energy, and stands her ground. She pleads with Wanda to be smart about it, warning her not to fall into Hayward's trap. She says the director wants Vision and is just waiting for a reason to paint Wanda as the villain. Agnes appears just then and steps in, pulling Wanda away while giving Monica a firm warning to back off. Vision still has his fair share of the confessional interviews, but with him finding out that he's being stalled intentionally, he levitates away from the scene. Agnes brings Wanda into her home and offers tea, but when asked about the twins, she says they're playing in the basement. Wanda heads down and finds a strange, eerie space with stone walls, tangled roots, and a dark, glowing aura. Agnes follows, dropping the act and revealing she's Agatha Harkness. As the Agatha All Along song plays, it's clear she hurt the dog, planted the fake Pierto, staged the confessionals, and has been behind everything from the start. It's 1693 in a small forest in Salem, Massachusetts. The witch is being dragged by other witches, as she's been accused of stealing powers beyond her and gaining knowledge above her rank. The others gather to punish her, even though she keeps begging, but the queen's mind is made up. As the witches release their energy towards the prisoner, she screams for a while, absorbing it, before using that same energy path to drain life out of our colleagues. The Queen Mother ignores her calls for a pardon, stating that no good can come out of her, then proceeds to levitate and fire a stronger energy beam. But the rogue witch breaks her chains and drains life out of the Queen Mother. Still in the basement, Agnes taunts Wanda for being unable to read her mind. She's protected, unlike the rest of Westview. Nothing happens when Wanda tries to use her powers in the basement's enchanted area, and only Agnes has control here. She binds Wanda's wrists and ankles with a flick of the hand and lifts her off the ground, leaving her hanging midair and powerless. Agnes keeps ranting about all the strings she had to pull just to reach Wanda, listing everything she's done and taking credit again for the chaos in Westview. But now she needs to know how Wanda pulled off such a massive illusion. Wanda insists she doesn't know how she did it, and that only makes the witch more furious. With a burst of power, Agnes hurls her into a wall. Still determined to dig out the truth, Agnes decides to walk her through her past. She wants to find the moment when the pain and loneliness turned into something bigger. Wanda resists at first, but when she hears her twins crying out for help, that changes everything. She follows Agnes through the glowing door. It takes her back to Sokovia, a night when she was 10, sitting with her parents and Pietro while watching their favorite sitcom. The entire living room setup, from the furniture to the layout, mirrors the one she created when she first arrived in Westview. Even the show's characters and tone match exactly how her life in Westview began. There's a loud bang, and everything goes dark. The kids dive for cover under a bed, while a bomb, still active, lands close by and beeps. The TV keeps playing their favorite sitcom, and young Wanda, trying to stay calm, tells her brother that it isn't real, just like what they watch on TV. Before anything else happens, the present-day Wanda is pulled out of the memory by Agnes. She explains that the bomb never went off, and they stayed hidden for days until help came. Agnes says that might have been where the trauma started, but she still wants to know more, especially how Wanda got her powers. So she opens another door, taking Wanda to the moment she comes in contact with what Agnes calls an anti-freedom terrorist group. Wanda insists they only wanted to save the world. She relives the days in the organization, beginning from the moment she volunteered to be experimented on. Next, she enters a room and is told to touch the Mind Stone, even though no one has touched it and lived. When she does interact with it, a shining light beam and a figure in royal apparel appear before everything returns to normal. Whatever she's just experienced causes her to black out, but she survives it. The witch starts piecing together how her Westview neighbor could possibly have such powers, but she still needs more answers. The next stop is the Avengers compound, where Wanda once spent time grieving her brother's loss. Vision had been there with her, and even though he didn't fully understand emotions, he still managed to connect with her pain. He told her that grief wasn't just sorrow, it was love enduring. That quiet moment between the two touches something in both Wanda and the witch. Still, Agnes believes there's one more piece to uncover. With everything and everyone gone, maybe what Wanda wanted most was to bring Vision back. So she pushes the memory further, and Wanda ends up inside SWORD headquarters. She's at the front desk, calmly asking to collect Vision's body so she can give him a proper burial. She points out that when she came earlier, the body wasn't there. The front desk officer gets a call and lets her through, but when the next checkpoint doesn't buzz her in, she forces her way forward using her powers. Just like the footage Hayward had previously labeled as classified, she meets Hayward, who leads her to the lab where Vision's body is being dismantled in line with SWORD protocol. He hints that maybe she came to bring him back online, but Wanda quickly shuts that down, as she's only there to give him a proper burial. Hayward doesn't budge. He reminds her that the vibranium alone makes Vision too valuable to bury, and no amount of grief is going to change that. She then mutters that he's all she has. Then she breaks through the glass and walks into the room where his body is laid out in pieces. She gets close and tries to connect with him using her powers, but feels nothing. With tears falling, she realizes she can't bring him back. Not like this. and with the entire team watching, she leaves quietly, not hurting anyone or taking a thing with her. She drives to Westview, the real one, not the version under a spell. She sees familiar faces from the alternate town living normal lives. When she reaches an empty plot of land, meant for her and Vision, she lets it all out. Grief pours from her as she screams, and energy starts radiating from inside her, forming walls around the space. That same energy builds a house from the ground up and pulls her into it, finally creating Vision from scratch. He opens his eyes and looks at her the same way he always has, then he calls her name. The real Wanda, the one in memory, watches them kiss, just like they did when they first arrived. But then, she notices the lights, the set, the cameras, and everything suddenly feels like a show. Just like that, she's jolted back to reality. She hears the boys crying and rushes out to find the witch holding them midair, her energy choking their necks. Wanda calls them her kids, but Agatha just laughs, says she has no idea how dangerous she is, and calls her the Scarlet Witch. At Hayward's base, they extract Wanda's energy from the returned drone and channel it into a rebuilt Vision, one designed to break through Westview and take her down. It's all part of the witch's plan to drain Wanda's power and use it for herself. She gets one good hit in and tells her to surrender the magic so it can be put to proper use, but Wanda isn't that easy to break. With a quick move, she hurls a car straight at her, sending the witch crashing into a house. Wanda gets the boys to safety and braces for what's next. Then Hayward's version of Vision shows up. He pretends to be her love, but once he has her close, he grabs her head and starts to crush it. Just in time, the real Vision slams into him, knocking the white android into a car that bursts into flames. She tries to explain, but her partner already knows what this is. There's no time for apologies. Their home is under threat, and they're ready to fight for it. While Monica's trapped in a building by Agnes's version of Pierdo, one she can't seem to escape, the two Visions tear through the skies and smash into each other, with the white one reminding the other that his mission is to eliminate both Wanda and her partner. Over at the base, Hayward's got Wu in cuffs and lays out his real plan. Take out the lovers, then spin the whole thing to make Wanda the villain, blaming her grief for the chaos. Wu pushes back, but the director's already mapped out a story that ends with him as the hero. What Hayward doesn't know is Wu swiped a phone earlier, and once he's shoved aside, he breaks free and calls Cliff from Quantico, giving them the signal. Back in town, Wanda faces the witch in the town square. Agatha goes on about her powers, hinting that she could be even more powerful if she taps into an ancient magic. But Wanda doesn't follow. Agnes magically makes everyone in the town gather around Wanda, telling her how she's been controlling them. They all, in one voice, claim they're tired of whatever is going on and the constant fear they live in, also sharing her grief with her. Wanda tries to calm the crowd, swearing she only meant to protect them, but they're fed up. The moment her power flares again, nearly choking them, they demand freedom or otherwise. Pushed by the witch, she tears the barrier open to let them go, but that crack gives Hayward a way in. As people flee, the breach starts tearing her family apart. The boys and Vision begin to break down, glitching with every second. With no choice, she seals the rift, pulling them back together. Agatha strikes right away. Wanda blocks it, but the hit drains her fast, her skin paling as the witch absorbs her energy. That's when Hayward's team storms in. Agatha turns to handle them, while the two Visions clash again, but in the middle of it, the red one forces his white version to question who the real Vision even is. Wanda isn't the villain here, so before the witch's blast can crush Hayward's men, she softens their fall, keeping them safe before turning back to face her real threat. Meanwhile, the faster twin zips around the agents, snatching every weapon from their hands in a flash, freezing them where they stand. Then Hayward shows up, pulls out his gun, and fires straight at the kids. But Monica bursts onto the scene, having broken free along with the boy who held her captive. She steps in front of the shots, and as the bullets pass through her glowing body, they slow down and become harmless. Her entire frame pulses with energy. Hayward makes a run for it, but Darcy rams his getaway car with the funnel van, crashing it and trapping him inside. At the library, Vision spins the logic on his other self. If one is the true Vision and must be neutralized, then by that same logic, they're both real, or neither of them is. And that paradox sticks. Wanda lures the witch back to Salem's ruins, the same coven site where it all began for the witch, hoping to end things once and for all. But it's a setup. This is where she's strongest, and it's all part of her plan to drain Wanda completely. She tries pulling the same move again, summoning the dark energy of her past victims to extract Wanda's power. But Wanda crashes into her mid-spell and yanks them both back to the skies over Westview. Drained and overwhelmed, Wanda gives in. She floats in the air opposite her enemy and starts releasing her power willingly, beam after beam of red energy pouring out of her into the witch, leaving her frail and pale. Red Vision makes a move to help, but Wanda holds him back and keeps going, giving everything she has. But when the witch finally tries to use the new power, nothing happens. The spell won't respond to her, and that's when Wanda reveals what she's really done. The entire sky is surrounded by glowing runes, the kind of spell that only the caster can access. While the witch was busy absorbing, Wanda was sealing her fate. With the battle finally over and her home reclaimed, Wanda shrinks Westview's boundaries back to what they were before Hayward's intrusion, then heads home. She and Vision tuck the kids in, gently reminding them that family lasts forever, though their goodnight carries a weight that feels more like goodbye. As the barrier slowly collapses and the town begins shifting back to its old reality, the couple share one last moment. They talk like the lovers they've always been, but this time with an urgency that comes from knowing it's their final one. Halfway through, he asks who exactly he is. With her hand pressed softly against his cheek, she tells him he's the body of wires and code she chose to love, the sadness and joy that shaped her. The machine lets out a tear, one neither of them expected was even possible. The field closes in fast, but they hold on tight and stay in each other's arms for as long as they can. They promise to meet again, and when the walls finally collapse, Vision vanishes with them, which leaves Wanda standing alone on the same empty lot where it all started. She walks through the quiet streets, while the people watch in silence. At the edge of town, Monica waits for her and gently says she would have done the same for her mom. With nothing left but respect between them, the captain wishes her well, and Wanda lifts into the air and disappears. Quantico arrives, and as agents sweep the scene, Hayward is cuffed and taken in while Wu takes command. An officer pulls Monica aside to the theater, then reveals herself as an alien, saying someone close to her mom wants to meet. Monica's face lights up as she's more than ready.